Again, that a program recorded earlier. We're taking our viewers back and forth. They think, when am I watching a tape or I'm watching live? But we're back with you here with Martin Case and Greg Schwab here, live here on Thursday night. You were on that program, obviously, Greg, and maybe just for our viewers, some of the questions that are common when Dr. Below makes his presentation.
Yeah, it was a very fun program to be on. The thing that I think farmers, that really surprised farmers, is how all of those factors play together to ultimately determine what your yield potential is. And so the way Dr. Below arranges those factors and how he puts a weighting on those, I think farmers use that as a guide. You know, a lot of farmers do a good job in one or two of those things, but they have a hard time doing all 7 right. And so I think that's a good way for them to kind of click off the list of what do I do good and where should I spend some time.
And Martin, working. Yeah, and Martin, you have said you've seen retailers and growers that are making some changes here now, and part of those 7 wonders that Greg alluded to here.
Well, and that's exactly right. The retailers are talking to a lot of different researchers and agronomists around the Midwest and trying to come up with a better strategy to take advantage of, I call it the magic in the hybrids, and make the maximum of yield. And so they need to try to control one of the major factors, obviously, besides weather, is nitrogen, and how to get the most out of the nitrogen and get it to those high-yielding hybrids to hit those higher yields that they're wanting to achieve.
Everybody's wanting that, you know, and I know that alternative practice have been taking hold in a number of areas where weather has been a factor, has been the broadcast spreading of stabilized nitrogen.
Yeah, that's really come on extremely fast in the last 2 or 3 years all over the Midwest, but predominantly in the flat in Illinois and Iowa, where they're going to side dress applications of urea with some high-speed application equipment and covering the acres, and they're achieving a much higher yield with that kind of a process.
And again, if weather delays are coming this activity this spring, again, delaying field work, growers need to get their fertilizer to their crops, are going to have another need. And we had a program called The Need for Speed. And on that program, Craig Fenstermaker, he's from New Leader, he talked about his research on fertilizer applications, some of the things that Martin just talked about, some fertilizer application alternatives that can allow your producers to get nitrogen applied faster and efficiently as well. It might be a good place to start with you and research that you're showing, farmers here what might be looking at as far as alternatives here this spring as it relates to nitrogen application and stabilization.
Well, that's been a big topic conversation for the past couple of years, is top dressing nitrogen management, the need for speed, being able to cover more acres and being efficient in what you're doing. And from the different products and the New Leader product itself, the design of the G4 spreader and the technologies built into that spreader, along with AGROTAIN treated urea and Super U, allows us to broadcast that product faster and wider, being more efficient and productive in the overall application. You had some findings as well, and from some of that research to share with our viewers here this evening? We did. For the past couple of years, we have done multiple tests, checking the width of the product, the profile of the product, to be able to make sure we're maintaining a good coefficient of variation. From the tests we've done throughout the Midwest and the southern states, we found some good results. One of the customers that I've worked with in southern Illinois, a service provider there, offering both services, both injection with a toolbar as well as broadcasting products. Visiting with him on how his results came out. Broadcasting, what we were finding there, tremendous efficiencies and productivity. With the different products that we had tested, starting out with, in his operation, his broadcasting capabilities, he's broadcasting at 90-foot spread widths. In his toolbar, with the current size of his toolbar, is a 40-foot spread width, or 40-foot working width. And with the differences in speeds of what he's able to work with, the broadcasting, he's running at speeds from 12 mile per hour to 20 mile per hour, with an average of about 15 mile per hour as an average, where his toolbar application, he's about an 8 mile an hour speed there. So with the differences in speed and the differences in spread width, allows him to cover many more acres throughout the day.
There's an example. Show us what we're, explain what we're kind of looking at there for our viewers here, where you talk about putting that together with the acres and the speed.
With the speed and the widths of what he's operating at, the potential that he has covering a 90-foot spread width at the speeds he's running, he's able to cover about 130 more acres per hour by broadcasting this product. Because of the characteristics of the product, it allows it to broadcast much wider. Being able to cover more acres per day, if you start looking at the number of days that you're applying product, that's a big difference as well. With the application and what he's doing, there's many variables as far as tendering the product, the distances traveled from job to job, the speeds that he's able to operate in. So his average day is about an 800 acre per day broadcasting, where his toolbar application is about 300 acres a day. Looking at that there, visiting with him, this past year in his overall application, he'd done approximately 15,000 acres, a little more than 15,000 acres between the two. With that there, looking at broadcasting, he's looking at that as around 18 days to cover that 15,000 acres, versus the toolbar was going to be an additional 33 days to do the same amount of coverage. When we talk about the number of days that it's taking, now we start looking at the efficiencies in fuel cost and fuel operation.
Sure.
Differences between the two of broadcasting as well as the knifing or the toolbar application, the fuel usage is tremendous. From what he was seeing, the amount of fuel used per day, the cost per acre, being able to cover the total 15,000 acres broadcasting versus application with the toolbar was going to be about over $11,000 savings in the overall cost covering that 15,000 acres.
Wow, so there's, again, the savings of time, obviously, and the fuel savings. I mean, it just seems like it's a win-win, seems to me. And there you go, Craig Fenstermaker. Do you expect this to continue, Martin, in 2012?
I've seen with a lot of the retailers across the Midwest, they're all investing, and farmers alike are investing in new side dress application equipment to broadcast urea, top dress, and corn, and so it's a rapidly expanding trend.
Boy, I would think in these examples he gives there in time, the need for speed, they sure can see it right there in the charts there. And they're not just isolated to the Midwest, Greg.
Yeah, anywhere where you can apply that nitrogen just before the highest uptake in the crop, you're going to improve efficiency. So it doesn't really matter if you're growing cotton or rice or corn in the Midwest. Applying it closer to when the plant needs it is going to improve efficiency.
The plant will take care of it when it needs it. I mean, that's what it's all about, Mother Nature. All right. Back to talk more with Greg and Martin, and we have more to share with you, other videos. In fact, back to Commodity Classic as we return here after our break right now, so don't go away. More to come here. Our friends from AGROTAIN and Koch Agronomic Services with us on RFD-TV Live right here on Rural America's most important network.